Hi, my name is Megan Pollard. I am a classically trained pastry chef. I work for Quest Food Management. Today we're going to be making whole wheat hamburger buns. So the ingredients that we have is water. I have fresh compressed yeast, which I prefer over dry active yeast just because this is what I'm more familiar with working with, but you can use dry active. I have salt and sugar, extra virgin olive oil, and I have white and whole wheat flour. So first we're going to add 3/4 of the water into the bowl. The reason why we don't add all the water is because we don't want to add too much hydration to the dough. Now we're going to do the fresh compressed yeast. You want to make sure that there's not a lot of large clumps of yeast. So you're going to take it in your hand and you're just going to smush it up. Next we're going to add the flour. Then we're going to add the salt and the sugar. And at this point we're going to start mixing on first speed. And you're going to mix the dough until it starts to come together. And then you're going to check the hydration. I'm going to say that it needs more water, so I'm going to start adding it now. Add it in a slow stream. So as you can see, the dough is starting to come together now. There is still a little bit of dry flour in the bottom. We don't want that. So if it doesn't come together, I'm going to add just a touch more water. You don't want to wait too long to add the water into the dough because that will cause starch burn in your dough. As you can see now, the dough has picked up all the dry flour in the bottom of the bowl. That's perfect. You don't want to add any more. As long as all that stuff is picked up. So at this point, it's come together. It looks like a dough. We're going to stop the machine. We're going to grab our oil, and we're going to add our oil in a slow stream with the mixer on. What the oil does is it coats the strands of the gluten, so it gives you a more tender dough, a better mouthfeel. So once the oil's in, you want to continue mixing the dough until it incorporates a little bit. If you don't let it incorporate, all the oil will splash all over the place out of the bowl. So at this point, I'm going to turn the mixer on to second speed. Second speed is where you'll get your gluten development. So once it's on second speed, you're going to mix the dough between 4 to 6 minutes. Stretch the dough from the outside in. You can also see the strands of gluten in there as they developed. See how this is a clear pane right here? You can see through the dough. That means it's ready. So we're going to take the dough out of the bowl and put it into a bowl over here. And now we're going to let it rise to double its size. So we're going to leave it in room temperature, preferably above 70 degrees, and we're going to cover it. If you don't cover it, it'll get a dry skin on top. Once the dough has proofed, double its size after mixing, you take it out of the container and it's ready to be portioned. So then you portion all your pieces to the same size. And then you pre-shape the dough. By pre-shaping it, you grab all the ends and bring the edges into the middle of the dough. So once you've pre-shaped all your buns, you gotta let it rest for a second. That way the gluten releases the tension. It'll be easier to shape. Once you've let your dough relax from the pre-shape, you need to shape it. You're gonna take the dough into the palm of your hand, the top of the dough. And using your fingertips on the board, you're going to kind of do this motion without putting too much pressure on the dough. The whole purpose of the final shape is to align the gluten. You'll feel the dough as you're shaping it gets tighter. You should have a smooth finish on the top. Once it's proofed, so once it feels like a deflated balloon, you're going to take this egg wash. This egg wash is 1 egg cracked with a teaspoon of water in it. You're going to take your pastry brush, very lightly. You don't want a lot of excess wash on there. You're going to wash all sides and top of the bun. You don't want to apply too much egg wash, otherwise it'll look like scrambled eggs in the bottom of your bun. And the reason for the egg wash is to give the finished product a nice golden brown color. All right, and the next step is to bake it. You're going to bake it at 425 until you can actually pick the dough up and it feels light in the oven. Probably around 35-40 minutes. Now that we've egg washed the dough, we're going to put it in the oven. We want to bake it for 35 to 40 minutes at 425, and we're going to bake it until it's golden brown. So once the dough is out of the oven, you need to make sure that you let it cool completely. This will give you the proper crust on your roll. The final step of this process would be to cut open your bun and then put a burger inside and eat it. So you'll see the inside is nice and tight, so it'll hold all your burger and your condiments. A nice tight crumb.